I wouldn't call them failures. I would call them, learning experiences, right? The biggest failure for me is just not trying at all, right?
That's great.
It's like, well, I gave it my best effort. And I think those setbacks, having that mindset that, you just might have to try again. I think women should do whatever their dream is. If their dream is to be a pilot, go for it. If their dream is to be an engineer, go for it.
It definitely adds more diversity and more different perspectives, because
Absolutely.
if you have just only men that's dominating one field, we only have a certain way of seeing things.
But facing all those challenges, all those problems, people think them not good enough. What would you tell that person right now?
I would tell them definitely do.
But nobody asks a question like, how do you stay poor?
You are watching the Fortunate Mindset Podcast.
Welcome back to the Fortunate Mindset Podcast. Here your guest, Jonathan Kenda, with my brother, Taylor Kenda. Hey, how you doing, Taylor?
I'm good. It's been a busy week.
Man.
It's very, very rewarding. How are you doing?
Man, just as you said, really busy week. So busy to the point that we were really in such a happy time that we couldn't see how busy it was. I just realized that it was busy the final day when we finished everything. And I was like, oh my days. I slept like for almost 8 hours or more than that.
The youth meetings last week that we had at the church was amazing.
Yeah, sure.
It was spectacular. We had a lot of people that came from all different places around the U.S.
Sure.
We were able to share knowledge, and people get a lot of knowledge as well from the pastor that was speaking on the subject of marriage and divorce, or choosing of a bride. I think it was spectacular. I learned a lot. It was a blessing for me.
I'm not gonna get in that because I don't want to be talking about choosing a bride and stuff right now.
Yeah, it's not our topic for today.
That's not our topic for today. And today we have a special person. Our special guest is an engineer. She's a pilot. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome Taylor Lueking.
Hello, everyone. How are y'all?
Great. How you doing?
Good. I'm ready for the weekend.
You
Ready for the weekend?
Yeah.
How's your week been? Has it been a handful? Relaxed?
Crazy busy.
Really?
Crazy busy, yep. So classes finished up with my MBA and been trying to study some flight stuff and
Nice.
just using every second of every day for sure.
Wow. So if you can give us a quick background of what you're currently doing. You're an engineer, you're a pilot, you're also doing your master's degree. So bring us into your world real quick.
Yeah, so I guess a little bit about me. I am from a super small town in Indiana. It's where I grew up. It's where I went to school. I graduated from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in 2022 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And then kind of throughout that time, I've been also flying for the last 7 years. So I've had my private pilot's license, instrument rating, commercial rating, and also tailwheel endorsement.
Nice.
And then recently I decided I love school so much, I'm going to go back, and I'm halfway through my master's.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Almost there.
I mean, oh my.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. I mean, flying, I know it's something where it's an industry that's really, really, really full with male.
It is, yes.
How does it feel like to be a female among all those men that flies every time, having experience, and can you bring us a little bit into that word?
Yeah, sure. So females actually make up 6% of the aviation industry.
Only 6.
Only 6%.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So very, very small percentage. All of my flight instructors have been male, which I didn't necessarily mind. It was fine. But I think I've been through 7 flight instructors in my flying career currently. And I would say majority were in Indiana, where I definitely had a battle with being told okay, you're not going to make it to your check ride, which is essentially the driving test for planes, right?
Wow.
you're not going to make it. Females always, top out. They don't finish what they started. I was like, okay, great. Next flight instructor. Same thing. Like it was like back to back. It's like telling me that I will not succeed. I was like, okay. Flying absolutely scared the crap out of me at that point, and I was like, I'll show you. Like I
Wow,
will
that's
prove to you I
perfect.
can do it. Yeah. So I was like, I mean, girls can do anything guys can do, right? And vice versa. So that's definitely been a struggle throughout my flying career, but it's not stopped me at all.
Certainly.
Wow. That
That's a
just,
good testimony.
I mean, brings this quote that I'm gonna read right now. Like, if you don't design your own your own life plan, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan, and what I have planned for you is not
It's
much.
not too much.
I mean, that brings me to say like you've been doing other stuff, but people telling you like you're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Like you are gonna just stop by somewhere, but you didn't let that setback or that all those word breaks you down to the point like you say I quit or I give up. But today we have Taylor Lueking, a pilot driving for already 7 years. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so by that, what would you say to a person, especially a female, who want to get into that industry too, but facing all those challenges, all those problems, people think them not good enough, you cannot make it, like this is not for you, what would you tell that person right now?
I would tell them definitely do not give up. I think the biggest thing for me was that I had a really great support system. My family was able to support me throughout my journey, and then actually found a females pilot group called the 99s. So I'm current chairwoman of that as well, but that's kind of like a group of like-minded individuals. Like we're all in the same boat, struggling through aviation, and I think definitely finding that support system and finding those other women in your corner is what I would tell the person.
So now if we have to go to a point where somebody who can is not in that environment, like to find that kind of group. They may be, let's say, international student. They don't know much about getting a team or a place where. So where can we find that group, or where can we, as you are the chairwoman, how can we find, or how can a person find you to join the group? What are the requirements? What are the process? What are the things that can qualify a person to be part of your group?
Absolutely. So you just have to have a love for aviation. So I think when I moved to Texas, I had no idea what the 99s were. And I happened to be looking up female pilot groups and came across that. Was able to join, and I've been a member for about 2 years now. Yeah, so definitely using resources, Google searches,
Yeah.
word of mouth, all that.
So, we know like being a pilot is a really, really hard work to do, as at work, of course, but especially getting into the school, studying and other stuff, the fund financing is really tough, right? So, you said you have a family that really supported you in every single way. So, but what about somebody who doesn't have that much support, as family support, financial support, and they want to become a pilot, but they find themselves limited into finance. So, what advice or what are the things that you can bring us through that a person is listening or watching right now will be like, oh, this is the path that I'm gonna get if I want to become a pilot.
Absolutely. So there's several ways that you could acquire funds for this flight training. There's so many scholarships out there. So specifically, other organizations would be the EAA, AOPA, just a lot of pilot organizations that are international that have scholarships that you could apply for. I know the 99 specifically have our own set of scholarships, and my chapter is implementing check ride scholarships this year. So that's, you can apply and use money towards flight training. And then I think also too, a lot of people I know take out loans just like you would take out a loan for college, because to be a professional pilot, a lot of airlines are not even requiring a degree. So you can just go through flight training, which I know several people that have done that as well.
Yeah, your experience really shows that you've been resilient in a lot of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You haven't let anybody just let you give up at all,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
If I can add, I mean, especially with the quote that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't allow anybody else to impact your life, you choose your own path. A lot of your mentors, a lot of the people that you were working with early on, they didn't see the potential in you, but you've seen it within yourself.
Yeah.
So talk about how you stayed motivated and how you stayed the course on the long-term vision that you had for yourself. What kept you motivated and what kept you in sync with what you were doing?
I think, honestly, it was a combination of my support system as well as a passion for flying and a passion
Good.
for, because I've experienced the male-dominated industry with engineering as well.
Too, right?
Yeah. So I think just kind of giving myself little pep talks, it's like, okay, everybody else is doing this, especially it's like these guys are doing it. Why can't I? It's like, especially being up in the air, I think the number one thing that kept me motivated was looking down on the ground and I'm actually doing this,
Actually doing
like
I'm here.
I'm actually doing this.
That's
All of
amazing.
my problems are on the ground, and I think that that just made them seem so small and insignificant, And so I was like, okay, this is not so bad, all of my 8 hours of engineering homework down on the ground. It's like everybody else can get through it, so can I.
Yeah. So it wasn't overwhelming.
Oh, it definitely was.
It was.
But I am one of those people that works very, very well under pressure.
Oh.
So I will, smart
Wow.
or not
Wow.
smart, put myself into those situations. But yeah.
A lot of people fold under pressure.
Sure.
And they can't withstand the pressure whenever they're put in a certain situation. Say for example, an NBA star, or an NBA player.
Yeah.
They're in front of the free throw line for a championship game. Some of them they fold. They don't make the shots.
Yeah.
But if you know yourself within yourself that you're good under pressure, you can perform very well. That's a very good skill to have.
Yeah.
So, going through your story, I've just realized something that you really truly believed in yourself, right? So now, as a pilot and an engineer, can you just bring us through the time where you have been into complex situation or high pressure? Can you tell us how believing in yourself can impact your decision that made you the person that you are today?
Sure, yeah. So I think one specific example with engineering in my engineering curriculum, I had a lot of my school was previously all male up until I think 20 years ago, right? And you still had a lot of professors that were in that mindset where, they're used to having all male students. I remember getting my test scores back for one particular class and having the same exact answers as my male counterpart, and then having a lower grade.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. And so I went to, talk to the professor, hey, here's these tests. They're the same answers. Why is my score lower? And I came out with lower points than when I started with.
They lowered your points because you want to talk to the.
Yeah.
What?
So in my school, because it was so small, I was I had all this documentation to, bring this up to a higher level. But ultimately, I was so discouraged to that point that I considered transferring schools and considering like, okay, maybe engineering's not for me. But ultimately, you know, again, having a support system and like, I was like, I'm not going to let these professors and students get the best of me. Like, I'm just going to keep persevering, keep being a trailblazer. And
good.
so I think that's kind of definitely where believing in myself pushed me through to the finish line. So, yeah,
Wow.
I think flying specifically, I remember my instrument check ride. So, instrument rating is basically being able to fly through the clouds, being able to fly without visibility. And my check ride got rescheduled like 5 times because of the weather and scheduling issues. And that was over the span of like 3 months.
3 months.
So I definitely was discouraged. I was like, this is never gonna happen. I haven't flown a bunch during that time. I was like, now I don't know what I'm doing. But again, you know, believing myself, like, okay, you can do this. Like, just calm down. You got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot. You're having a great support system, and that intrigues me a lot because you're mentioning it every time. Can you just bring us into that support system? What is that support system?
Yeah, so that support system is 100% my family. So my mom is very alpha female, very independent, and so anytime I would call her, I mean, I think I would call her every day,
Okay.
like in college, and she, you know, I was very fortunate that she was able to pick up, and she's like, okay, Taylor, listen, like you can do this. All you got to do is just compartmentalize and take everything step by step. And that's really what worked and resonated with me was having this step by step process, like to make all of my problems seem very small and
Yeah.
incremental. Yeah.
That's interesting. From that experience with where you have that issue with the professor, I would have went straight to the dean and then made a
Yeah.
big deal about it. Be like, well, look what your professor's doing. Get him out of here.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, that's what
You
I would have
did that?
done. Oh, that's what I would have done. But I mean, it's interesting the fact that you didn't let that just bring you down and keep you
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
That's very good.
I mean, that's great to kind of really believing in yourself brings you that, give you that motivation, give you that power to the point that I want to get out from all the negative part that things that they told you, right? Let's go into you already flying. Taylor in the flight or in the airplane flying and then getting in a situation where you almost lost control. You almost like you feel like everything is shaking and there behind everybody's going, oh my god, oh everybody praying, and you'll be like, would I be like okay right now? Bring us to that situation. How do believing in yourself and having self-control and really confident brings you back to be, I got this? Like, how do you feel when you get it through that situation?
I definitely would feel empowered after every one of those situations because it's like, okay, I've made it through. Anytime that I land is a good landing.
Feel like you're in control.
Yeah. So as long as my takeoffs and landings match,
Yeah.
right? It's so empowering to have come back from a flight where I don't know, maybe a piece of equipment malfunctioned and I didn't have proper control. I didn't have all the systems that I took off with, right? Coming back and landing and being able to touch down safely is very empowering every time. Like it's just that rush that you feel, or I feel, And I think also too, I mean, I think logically, I realized that airplanes basically turn into gliders if, the engine were to go out. So that's kind of my thing. It's like safer than driving a car.
Yeah.
It is.
And I was like, okay, if anything happens, I know, just pitch for best glide and look for a place to land.
No.
And I don't think I figured out how easy kind of that is in those situations until later on in my flight career.
What happened?
I just had more practice and more confidence in landing in fields and grass strips and different places where, it's like, okay, if there's an emergency, I think I would, maybe the plane wouldn't necessarily be in one piece, but I know I would be.
You would be.
Oh,
Yeah.
know?
That's what's
sure.
important.
That's really important.
Yes.
Right.
You think more women should go into the engineering and pilot fields, or you think it should just remain the way it is?
I
What's your
absolutely,
opinion on that?
I absolutely think that, I think women should do whatever their dream is. If their dream is to be a pilot, go for it. If their dream is to be an engineer, go for it. I think definitely in the engineering field, I think we've kind of slowly started increasing that statistic, the number of females. I know my college when I was there was 20% female, and I think we're a little over 20 now. So definitely, I think a lot of it is awareness. A lot of it's finding those groups, finding that support system to kind of band together and, be like, all right, you're doing it. I can do it too.
It definitely adds more diversity and more different perspectives. Because
Absolutely.
if you have just only men that's dominating one field, we only have a certain way of seeing things and resolving problems. But if you also have women or minorities, we have more opportunities to be able to resolve some certain issues and certain problems that we face, not only in engineering or pilot, but also medical field and all sorts of different areas as well.
Sure. Basically, what I would like to imply is, Taylor, you've mentioned about this instructor and people trying to tell you to give up or tell you this is not for you. But I believe that you might have like this one person that's believed in you, right? So how can you talk about the importance of having a mentor or just somebody that believed in you has influenced your career journey or just the way you started from being an engineer or a pilot?
Yeah, so I think specifically for the pilot avenue, I lucked out with one of my longtime instructors who was not necessarily on the ATP route. So he was like a longtime flight instructor. That was his career, and he wasn't trying to fly for the airlines. So I think that kind of helped. And he definitely pushed me over my fear of I started off having a fear of flying solo.
Really?
Like I needed the instructor as a safety blanket, or I needed, to be talking to somebody on like with the control tower all the time. And I know that he's like, listen, you can do this. Everybody else has done this before you, and people will continue to do it after you. And I remember going on my first solo cross country. So I would be flying to different locations and coming back and breaking down and crying because I was like, I just was so distraught that I even had to, fly that long, but I did it. He's like, why are you crying? You made it back in one piece. And I think definitely that specific instructor was someone who brought me back down to, being logical and whatnot. So
What's the longest flights you've taken?
So I actually flew for one of my longest cross country was from Indiana to North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, so that was, and I fly like very slow aircraft, and so that one took 5 hours one way.
5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you overcome your fear?
I think for me, it's immersion therapy, right? So I think just continuing to do it is how I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't too bad. It's like, but if I go periods of time where I'm not flying, it's like, okay, I got to remind myself, like,
You got this. You got
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's good. So now, as you're looking back on all the accomplishments that you've made, so the fact that you got your bachelor's degree and you're working on your master's, you got your pilot license, and all the other accomplishments you've been able to make. What is one key thing that really has sparked all the initial the initial interests that you had in the beginning to start that motivated you to continue to take on all the challenges to reach the milestones you've had?
I think my love of knowledge. I think there's always something else out there that I could be learning, something that I could be using to better myself. I know specifically how I got into flying was I literally did a extra credit opportunity for my science class.
Yeah.
And went out to the airport and absolutely fell in love with it. Engineering is kind of the same thing. I did a STEM summer camp and it's like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. I think that's kind of what's definitely pushed me to continue doing what I love and finding new things to try.
Yeah. Personally, whenever I was growing up, I wasn't exposed to opportunities in STEM and science. But I think it's very good, important for kids early on to just be exposed to the opportunities that's available to them, whether it's in STEM or even other areas as well, just so they can expand and grow their knowledge. But the fact that you personally just like exploring and learning, it's already good. Me, I got my bachelor's degree. I don't know about going for my master's or even PhD. That's
Yeah.
far. But the fact that you're going for your master's is great. It's great. I might add a master's. But tell us about that, though. What challenges have you gone through in going for your master's degree? And then what opportunities do you hope to achieve once you have that?
I think challenges wise is just trying to juggle it all, right?
Yeah.
Working 40 hours a week, having, two classes of homework. And then I was studying to be a flight instructor at the time. And yeah, I realized that was a little bit too much. So I had to prioritize what needed to be done and then what could wait until later.
Yeah.
But I think with the masters, the thing that keeps me going is my college experience was probably the hardest thing that I've had to do in my life. It was
Wow.
very, very rigorous. But it's like, okay, if I can make it through that, an MBA is nothing, right? And so I mean, truthfully, like in college, I had 8 hours of homework a night.
I agree, yeah.
And here I have like 2 classes and do 5 hours a week. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, okay, the hardest part of my life probably is over, and now I can continue moving forward.
That sounds really great. So, Taylor, I mean,
Which Taylor?
okay, Taylor Lueking. I mean, let's talk about a moment where, as everybody in life, right, we have sometimes setbacks and failure, right? So, how would you navigate the point that believing in yourself help you overcome the failure time or the setback that you've gone through to make you the person you are today?
I think for me, definitely having the mindset that, I wouldn't call them failures. I would call them, learning experiences, right? Like the biggest failure for me is just not trying at all, right?
That's great.
So I think, I mean, because growing up, I was a straight A student in high school. So my first class that I failed in college was a big thing, right? Like, oh my gosh, the world is ending. The world is ending. But I think, it's like, well, I gave it my best effort. So if I need to do it again, that's fine. And I think those setbacks, having that mindset that, okay, you got this, you don't have to, failure is just not trying, right? It's not necessarily like, you just might have to try again.
I mean, when you talk about that, just something pops up in my mind really quick, whereby let's say somebody's in college right now. They're in college, high school, or university, whatever, and then they worry too much about the score, about the mark. Let's say they were really smart at the beginning. The first semester was really great. The second semester, it starts getting a bit lower. And then the third one, it's like they're getting out the crap of it. Like the score, the mark are going to be getting some F, like really, really bad. And then they start really worrying too much about how that curve is really going down to the point like it's already getting almost their happiness. It's getting their peace, getting really the personality, the human that they are. What advice can you give them?
I think for me, the moment that I stopped worrying about, what the grade was on paper and started worrying about my knowledge of the subject was definitely the point where I, was able to move forward and be okay with all of that. Because I mean, trust me, my first class that I failed, it just, yeah, I definitely like basically lost myself. But yeah, the moment that I started thinking, okay, this is the best that I can do, this is, my knowledge of the subject, and I'm not worried about what it is on paper. So, I mean, I was not a 4.0 student in college, definitely, failed some classes, still graduated with a decent GPA, but I wasn't on the honor roll or anything. And I think that's okay. It's all about your experience and your knowledge versus what it says on paper.
Taylor, tell us about what is your life like outside of work, outside of just engineering, outside of just pilots, outside of just doing your classes. What do you do to keep all those things together and not lose yourself?
So I would say definitely like my life outside of that is a lot of planning, a lot of schedule,
Okay.
a lot of Google Calendars, time management, all that. I think for me, the number one thing that I do to decompress is going to work out, getting my heart rate up.
Nice.
Takes all of the frustration away from the day for me, and brings me back down to a more grounded state. And then I think also too, I have a little Maltese dog.
Dog. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's my my stress relief for sure.
That's good. What kind of workouts do you do?
So right now I am actually doing the one pass thing with Lockheed. So I do some
Okay.
club Pilates to
Yeah.
stretch every week, and then I do Orange Theory as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fascinating. That's really
Nice.
great. Okay, I was about to say Taylor again.
We got a dog lover here. That's good.
That's really good. I mean, that's great. What would you say to your younger self? Like, what advice can you give to your younger self right now? Do you look at yourself back and you say, "Hey, Taylor, look at when you grow up, this is the path that you can get. This is what you might do instead of this."
I think I would say like, I would tell my younger self, you're gonna be okay. I think growing up, I had this idea that I would have a very linear path to success. Just, stepping stones, one thing after the other, college, family, graduation, masters and pilot certificates. And I think, I mean, my path has not been linear at all. Nobody's path is linear.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
And so definitely telling my younger self, you're going to be okay. A non-linear path to success is fine.
Would you say you've reached the point you wanted to get to where you're successful, or would you say there's a lot more left in the tank? And if there is, what do you think? What do you think is left?
I think,
Good question.
yeah, I just continuously try to expand the tank. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I think the turning point for me was, I am living on my own, financially independent. I've got a great support system, great friends. So I was like, yeah, this is where I would say I'd be successful. I just bought a house a little over a month
Oh,
ago.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, right.
And entirely on my own. So I think that's definitely, I would say, yeah, I'm successful at this point. But I think there's also more room to grow. So I think for me, finishing my MBA,
Okay.
I definitely want to become a flight instructor on the side. So I'm actively working through that training. And I think, I don't know, we'll see wherever the wind takes me after that.
I mean, we talk about success right now. What would you define as success? Because so many people can say they can define success as financial achievement. For some people, maybe let's say for sportsmen or football player, they might be winning a game that is success, right? So, what would you define as success?
I think success for me is just, being fulfilled, whether that be with finances, whether that be with social, whether that be with, your career. I think just being fulfilled, the moment that you feel fulfilled in your life, that for me is like what defines success. And that's why I'm still kind of working through it because I was like, I feel like I could be doing more, So
That's really great. And unless Taylor has another question.
Yeah, I'm interested in that, and the fact that you're getting your master, your MBA. So what is the goal behind the MBA? Because I know a lot of people that are in engineering, and they're just sticking to that. They don't want to continue growing and expanding their knowledge. So what is the point in, what is the goal behind getting the MBA? And for you to is it for you to expand in your role, your current role in engineering, or
yeah,
just
so I think
learn more?
learn more is a big part of it. Then I'd also say I kind of wanted something that would give me options, right? So having a degree in mechanical engineering, you can do a lot of things with that. Having the MBA, you could also do a lot of things. And then having a pilot certificate, you could do a lot of things. So for me, it was all kind of about the options. Engineering for me was more of a, okay, 4-year degree, I can make decent money. And I liked math and science enough to kind of pursue that. But I think ultimately the end goal is going to be going towards management
Nice.
because I
Nice.
feel most fulfilled when I am leading other people and helping the organization or company to success.
That's good. And what do you think it's going to take to get there? To that management vice president role, where we see
Yeah.
your
Man,
big
I
role.
don't know.
The CEO.
Yeah,
CEO. Well,
CEO. Yeah, so I'm still figuring that out, but
okay.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Oh yeah, that's really great. So as you going there, I hope like you've already thought, you have already maybe got some, maybe or maybe not. So what would you tell us is the mindset of a really great leader?
I think communication, having good communications, like having that mindset that if your employees are happy, that's going to in turn make productivity higher and make the company a better place to work and a better performance. So I think that for me has been the probably what I would say is like the most important mindset. And then I think it's interesting. So part of my MBA curriculum, I took this class called Organizational Behavior Theory, and we actually went into the different mindsets of leaders, like what actually goes into being a leader. And I think that is just so fascinating. It's not just somebody who is the face of the company. There's a
Yeah.
lot more into that.
And with that also comes a lot of responsibilities
Yeah.
Yeah.
from a leadership role. So, do you think that a leader follows people, or he's followed, or
I think both.
both?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think it's necessarily one or the other because a great leader has to incorporate other people's perspectives, but then they also have to be the ones to delegate and keep everything organized. So I'd
Yeah.
say both. Yeah.
So a question comes in: how do you handle pressure?
So you handle pressure really good, good under
Yeah,
pressure.
I don't.
I wish I was very, very good under pressure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's like I think for me, the more stuff I have on my plate, I just turn into like a very logical, like, okay, here's I have this amount of time to do this task, and then I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that being under pressure basically flipped a switch to where I was just a well-oiled machine, just trying to knock out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I know so many people when they are under pressure, they're not even productive anymore. Be stressing
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time. Like, but somebody would like to know maybe like how can I handle pressure when maybe I have to fulfill something, I have to accomplish something, I have to do. So, what kind of thing can I do to really say, hey, I got this, keep it down? So, is it kind of like a pep talk? It's kind of like meditation. It's kind of something like I have to be repeating myself certain word to keep myself down, or what can I really do?
I think honestly that is dependent on each individual person. So for me, the way that I don't stress about things is making lists, compartmentalizing all of the problems into very small, manageable tasks, and just completing them one by one. I also give myself pep talks like "You got this," and then having a good support system. So I think it kind of depends on each person, like having their niche of whatever is their de-stress.
All right. So, final two question. What is the best advice that you've ever heard, received, or given?
Gosh, there's so many.
There's
It's
a lot.
hard. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. I think the one that's sticking out to me at the moment. So our 99s chapter had Siren, the F-35
Yep. The
pilot,
pilot.
speak this past Monday, and she's like, she definitely hammered home like just don't give up, and that really resonated with me because she's a fighter pilot.
Oh yeah.
So she's had a much harder journey than I
Yeah.
have,
It's
a much longer
right.
journey, and I think that's probably like the best advice. I think also too, and coming from her especially. So
Real
Okay.
quick, before you do ask that second question, I'm interested because you mentioned that you found your passion for engineering and your love for engineering very early on. What about those people that want to be a pilot, or they want to get in the medical field, or even engineering itself, or another discipline, but they're scared of math, they're scared of physics and
Science.
science, or they find themselves like, this field is not too dominated by, it's dominated by men. I'm scared to be in an environment where my opinion won't be valued or anything of
Valued,
the sort.
heard.
What could
Yeah.
you tell them?
I'd say honestly, it's just a matter of putting yourself out there. I think, especially with recent, events in COVID, a lot of people are hiding behind computer screens
Yeah.
and not going out as much. You miss every opportunity that you do not take. So going out there, trying new things, not having a care in the world. That's how I would say people could get out there and get over their fears.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really good. That's really good. So, the last question on my two questions is, what is the worst advice that you've ever heard, received, or given?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That one's a tough one. I don't know. I think someone told me at one point that you have to be. Their advice was you have to be like a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, and that's definitely limiting people's dreams and aspirations. And so I was like, okay. I mean, I followed that advice to some extent, but there's just so much more out there.
Yeah.
So I think to sum that up is just having a limited viewpoint and not thinking of the big picture.
Yeah. What would you say the society needs to do to open up more opportunities for women and all sorts of different areas.
I think awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, social media is great. That's where I find all of my different groups,
Yeah.
the internet. So I think just kind of more awareness, more advertisement, to have people share their stories, and there's always somebody else out there just like you. So eventually, you band together and you have a group, a network.
It's good.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I think we really love this podcast and this conversation. It's been really, I would say, a blessing for me, because I know so many people that will listen to this or watch this. They will love, because we've shared how you can really believe in yourself as a person, how you can be get into a pilot career. You've mentioned that there are some scholarship, some way, and we've seen your journey, how you could be really pushed down or put down, but you didn't let that influence your plan or your career, but you made sure that you work hard in believing in yourself and having a really good support system. Especially shout out to your mom, who was there every time we're
Yeah.
calling her,
That's good.
like helping you to be the person that you are today. And I believe that you really are proud of yourself, aren't you? Right?
Yeah.
You're really proud of yourself. And I believe that people that are listening right now, watching right now, you have to know, if Taylor Lueking have done it, you can make it too. So it's just a matter of believing in yourself, trust the process, work harder in yourself. And there's this quote that say, hard work doesn't always guarantee success, but laziness almost certainly guarantees failure.
Yeah.
Right. You cannot say that I want to become a pilot or an engineer sitting there in your couch, like watching Netflix every time,
Yeah.
saying, hey, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and not doing anything. You have to get up, go, and put the work together. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is
Thank you
this
for
is
coming.
super awesome what y'all are
Yeah.
doing.
We
Yeah.
really appreciate you.
Taylor, what? Where could people find you if they want to reach out to you, if they have questions, if they want to get advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on social media, Taylor Lueking 18. And then 99s, if you all would be willing to post a link to the
Yeah,
website on
Sure.
there.
yeah, we
Yeah.
will. We will
Absolutely.
do that in the description.
Okay,
Yeah, we
perfect.
will
Yeah,
add it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, just find me on social media. I'm always happy to answer any questions.
That's
Oh
great.
yeah, we would appreciate that. So we call it really. We love this episode together, and if you do, keep it for yourself. Until then, see you to the next episode.
All right.